Get excited, people. It's a Tuesday right here on the SportsGrid Network. It is the early line. Did you stay up late last night? I absolutely did, but we got you covered for the next 2 hours. It's your boy DRS along with Joe Ranieri, and away we go. Trump was in the building. Security was at the highest absolute levels of pandemonium in New York City. Ended with the San Antonio Spurs grabbing their first win of the series. 2-1 lead now for those New York Knickerbockers. Also, exciting night in Major League Baseball. The topics will continue to flow today, Joe. Hockey back on the horizon. The Stanley Cup Finals return back in Las Vegas. Joe, fantastic stuff. It's time to get down to the business. The topics are lined up in order, and it's time to put on a show for the people.
Yeah, I got a lot to talk about here, Donnie. A lot has happened over the last 24 hours, but it continues, like you said, here with another all-important game in the NHL Finals coming up tonight. So a lot to get to.
Man, they let them play last night. It was physical in the Garden, and even after the game was over, physical outside where the police were called in. Mayhem in Gotham. But before we get there, Joe, it is a Tuesday. I stayed up late. Maybe you need that extra cup of coffee. Maybe you need the extra caffeination because, Joe, he's bringing that hot topic fresh to you right now.
Well, Donnie, let's talk about the utter laugh fest on social media yesterday over the NCAA losing yet another lawsuit and the hilarious moral posturing that college football is now dead because yesterday a Lubbock County district judge, unexpectedly, by the way, of course, granted a temporary injunction for Texas Tech quarterback Brandon Sorsby. And we've talked about Sorsby here over the last month and a half because we knew this day would eventually get here. This, of course, is the same Brandon Sorsby admitted to placing over 9,000 bets, including 40 wagers on his own team back when he was at Indiana, although, according to him, he wasn't playing then. He is now officially eligible to play for the Red Raiders this fall after sitting out, well, his 2-game penalty here. And the judge literally ruled that Sorsby would suffer, quote, irreparable injury because he would miss out on the coaching and the camaraderie and the training. Okay. But as soon as the ruling hit the wire, Donnie, the moral police on social media went into a complete meltdown. We have athletic directors crying, league commissioners sounding the alarm, teams threatening to boycott playing Texas Tech entirely, media members screaming and yelling at the clouds, and they're all screaming that the integrity of the sport is ruined forever. If this ruling actually surprised you, well, then you have been asleep for the last, 50 years or longer. When you have been doing this as long as we have, Donnie, boy, you can tell there are just some teams, some players, some universities that just tend to get favoritism over the others. And it's those that can throw the ball faster, hit the open receiver, sack the quarterback. These kinds of guys have always received preferential treatment. Always. How is anybody shocked that a local judge in Lubbock, Texas, where the university is, ruled in favor of the hometown university and their $4 to $5 million quarterback they just signed? And the NCAA is so furious. Of course, they filed an appeal to a court in Amarillo now. And you want to know the funniest thing? All 4 presiding justices on that appeals court literally graduated from the Texas Tech School of Law. So good luck with the appeal. Let me know how that works for you. Because the reality is simple. You reap what you sow. These universities have been making billions off of these athletes for decades. The NCAA makes millions selling real-time data feeds directly to the sports books. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Sorsby hired a powerhouse lawyer, and he exploited a system that was already a lawless Wild West. And he beat the NCAA at their own crooked game. So go ahead and make yourself feel better by yelling in online forums and in chat rooms all over the place about how outraged you are, because I will see every single one of you in August for week 0, when you will have completely forgotten about this and you will have moved on to being morally outraged about something else, Donnie.
Absolutely. It's a good topic to start the day. And also understand this. And I say you people out there wanted this here. It used to be we had a decorum in college sports. Oh, this guy took an extra $100. Yeah, he's going to sit 4 games and he might be expelled from the university. Oh, this guy got an extra tattoo at Ohio State. He'll never play again. You know, we're going to wind up firing the coach. Oh, yeah, look at that. He wants to transfer out and the coach goes, I'm not granting you a transfer. You're going to stay here. You're going to like it. You're going to work harder. I'm like, wow, this is kind of interesting. But now we have pay to play, which when you open up Pandora's box, this is exactly what you get, Joe. Are we not far away from watching, let's just say, Jalen Hurts of the Philadelphia Eagles playing for Oklahoma on a Saturday for extra money and then the Eagles on a Sunday? Because there are no more limitations at all in college sports as they are professionals here. Now, the one thing I will say, Joe, it is ridiculous. Some things you just can't cross the line on. And one of those is, I'm going to bet on my football team and I'm going to play. That's ultimately expulsion from the sport. Not any longer. Why? There are no more rules. So you out there that wanted the kids to get paid, congratulations. You're getting exactly what you wanted. Mayhem at the highest level, and there's no stopping it now. Great stuff, Joe, to start off a Tuesday. Let's get to those hot topics here on the early lineup, which leads right into Sorsby. And I got to tell you, Joe, surfing along like in the afternoon, I didn't see this story came out, let's call it 10 or 11 o'clock after we got off the air Eastern time. And I read it. I thought I might have been reading the Onion article at this point because there's one surefire thing you can't do is bet on yourself, on your own football team with insider information and use it to your advantage. He did that, and now he's going to play this year, it looks like. It's unbelievable.
And anybody that is surprised, this is what happens when for the last 2 decades you've been handing out participation trophies to a generation of athletes who have not had to get any accountability whatsoever, Donnie. And I don't blame Sorsby and I don't blame Texas Tech. Your outrage is misplaced. Hate the game, don't hate the player. And this game was created by the NCAA, and they're not very good at it, Donnie.
Let's switch it over to professional sports, too. You know what's going to happen in the next 3 weeks, Joe? It feels like Terry Rozier is going to stay out of jail. He's going to get reinstated to the NBA. He's going to have a lawsuit that gets him back pay for absolutely handicapping a game himself by leaving early to make an extra $100,000. This is where we're at right now in the sports landscape. Georgia, they're trying to say, you know what? Nobody scheduled Texas Tech. Come on along with us. This can't stand at this point. I'm interested to see how long these type of stands actually take because I guarantee if Texas is like, hey, don't be like that. We'll pay a little bit extra money to play a neutral site game. You know what? Texas Tech will play you right away. We'll see how long this lasts.
Yeah, and Donnie, that's the laughable part of all this moral outrage and hand-wringing and, oh, how dare... Yeah, all right. Until the next thing comes along, Donnie, we will have forgotten about this and we will move on. Do not hold Texas Tech accountable. They're playing the game that was set up by you guys, and they're winning at it. Don't hate them. It's not their fault that they're just playing with the set of rules you gave them.
And don't hate on the San Antonio Spurs. Back in the series, it looks like we got a finals, Joe. Early on, boy, the Spurs look great. Halftime, yep, the Knicks are just better. Late in that game, the Spurs get the win. 115-111. Wemby over 30 points here. Much needed. 11 of 18 from the field.
Yeah, a lot to break down in that game coming up, Donnie. But, hey, we got ourselves a series now.
Trump was in the building here, and some are saying that, you know what? Democrats vote heavily in New York City. He was coming in for Texas, which is a red state, to sort of put the kibosh on. And it worked, Joe? Did it work?
Well, yeah, I mean, it didn't work, but, you can't beat San Antonio and the refs, can you?
There you go, man. Violence inside there last night. By the way, Brandon Ayuk, if you see some of the videos he puts out, Joe, it might be a cry for help. Caitlin Clark hits a game-winning shot, and also Miles Russell, teenager, qualifies for the U.S. Open. Where was I at 16, 17, and 18? Certainly not qualifying for the U.S. Open. All these hot topics piling up, people. Back after the break.
morning.
Spreadlines, what you people need to know for tonight's action, whether it's in Major League Baseball, the WNBA, or the Stanley Cup Final, Joe, which has game number 4 tonight, Las Vegas, a 2-1 series lead for the Vegas Golden Knights. And my goodness, at those first 3 games, Joe, any indicators? We are in for a barn burner tonight. So let's set the table. Look at that. -110 split both sides. Total listed at 5.5, a must-win game for those Carolina Hurricanes, Joe. Or do we see another double overtime thriller? The winner of this game, Joe, if it is the Hurricanes, even it up, best of 3, head back to your own building. Golden Knights pick up the victory. They are knocking on heaven's door, Joe. What are we feeling tonight in a spread line for game 4 in the Stanley Cup Final?
Well, Donnie, it's a coin flip game as far as I'm concerned. I'd give the edge, the home ice edge there, of course, to Vegas. But at the same time, how is anybody sweating out an under in any game the rest of the way here, Donnie? There is no way I am thinking we're getting less than 6 goals in this game. We have gotten nothing that remotely looks like a 2-1 or a typical Carolina game, Donnie, right? Where they're just going to bleed you dry. They're not bleeding the Golden Knights here. They're not going to limit the Golden Knights. To me, Donnie, until I see it not once or twice, it's overs the rest of the way for me. I think that's where the value is, because both these goalies have shown you they are just not capable of cooperating with the defense and keeping guys out in front of the net. I think Anderson, if he even plays tonight, is going to be a problem. I think we're getting goals. Give me the over until further notice.
People just want to keep hanging on the sharp, like the Cleveland Browns, Joe, with the Hugh years, as I like to say. Hey, they're the sharp play. Why? They lose and don't cover every week. Don't matter. Just keep hammering the under. Eventually, you'll get it done in the Stanley Cup Final. Let's flip it over to the WNBA tonight, Joe. We got a triple header. 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and 10 o'clock. How about game number 1 at 7 o'clock, the Atlanta Dream and the Chicago Sky? Angel Reese, anybody? Look at this number, -6.5 at the opening number. You see the graphic up to 7.5 as a favorite to the road team, the Atlanta Dream, 164.5. Angel Reese back in the house in Chicago.
Yeah, right. The team that drafted her, right, her first return home here, and she loves the Atlanta Dream, and they love her as they sit 7-3. Meanwhile, the Chicago Sky kind of hanging around under 500 at 4-7, and Chicago has just struggled. Let's face it. They lost Ricky Lee Jackson, they got in a trade from the Sparks over in the offseason. And it's not been good for them. Inconsistent scoring, not exactly what you want, taking on an Atlanta Dream team that's not only going to get open shots, Donnie, they're going to get second chances, third chances, and Angel Reese is going to want to dominate in this game, and I think she will. So, yeah, it's only Atlanta Dream for me here.
Let's flip it over to the nightcap here, 10 p.m. Eastern. That's going to take place out there at Ball Holla, Golden State, San Francisco. How about this favorite for the Valkyries? Opened up overnight, Joe, 6.5. Now, look at the graphic. We're up to 8.5 as a favorite towards the Valkyries over the Phoenix Mercury, and a total of 161.5. If the season ended today, the Valkyries would be in the playoffs, sitting at 6-5.
Yeah, but listen, the Mercury finally won a couple of games, Donnie. In fact, back-to-back games. This is, I believe, the 3rd game of a 4-game road trip. This is during the Commissioner's Cup that they have right now, but they finally put it together. Very young team, the youngest team, one of the youngest teams in the WNBA this year, has dealt with some injuries, and the offense just has not been consistent. And the Valkyries have been pretty good, but neither of these teams play defense, Donnie. That's the whole thing. This is a tough one to want to sweat out an under in. I do think that Phoenix has finally got it going in the right direction. The Valkyries are not going to stop them. Give me the over here in this one tonight.
Pittsburgh Pirates on a 3-game losing streak. What's the perfect way to bounce back from that? Not playing the Los Angeles Dodgers, but look at this line, Joe. -112, -104. And you're saying to yourself, what do we got? Yamamoto going up against Skeens? No, it's actually Eric Lauer, who's not even a good pitcher, going up against flamethrower Skeens. And you see basically a slight favorite towards the Pittsburgh Pirates, which is always interesting. A total listed at 8 across the board here. Skeens versus Lauer, Joe. Skeens getting enough respect in this one? Or hey, all you got to do is take those Dodgers. You'll be okay.
He hasn't been good, Donnie. I mean, let's face it. It's been a rough stretch for him, and yeah, he's got some issues going on right now. But like anything else, you know, he's got a bullpen that's blown 14 saves so far this year. So it's not like, even if I liked Pittsburgh, I'd be looking at him full game. I think the only way to look here is, if you're looking to back Skeens, is back him early, maybe in the first 5, Donnie. I want nothing to do with that Pittsburgh bullpen. I think Skeens bounces back, but I want nothing to do with Pittsburgh in a full game situation here.
Who wants to get on the Cole train tonight? Those New York Yankees back at it there with the Cleveland Guardians. Going to be Garrett Cole in the mound for the Yankees side of things. Ciccone on the other side for the Guardians. You take a look at that graphic. Favorite's going to be to the Yankees. They're on the road, -134 price, and a total of 8.5. No Aaron Judge, no problem. Back-to-back wins here for the Yankees. We'll see if they can extend that tonight. But take it on the leaders once again, the Cleveland Guardians in the Central Division. Joe, what are we looking at tonight for a spread line here?
Entertaining game last night, Donnie. The Yankees had the lead, gave up the lead, tied the game, went to extras, wins it in extras there. Now you got Cole on the mound, and, you know, he's starting to get right into form here, Donnie. So he's already been unhittable, and he's been rusty. So now he's starting, the more starts he gets, the better he is going to be. Feels like we got an over last night, Donnie. Feels like an under might be in the cards here tonight in this one at Progressive.
Might not be too bad. Taking a look at some things, some action. Last night, you had a team total over 4.5 on the Angels at a nice plus money number. They had 3 by the second inning, Joe. And if I would have told you right now, Joe, they're going to go to extra innings tied at 4. Like, this is a dream come true. Yeah, final score 5-4. They lost last night. You got to be kidding me. Sometimes you just get the wrong side of things. That's what happened to me last night on a plus money number. But I'm looking more Major League Baseball tonight, which we're having best bets in hour number 2. But also, how about those Philadelphia Phillies going north of the border last night, Joe, picking up a victory once again behind Christopher Sanchez. Whoa! Got lit up, gave up 2 earned runs over 7 innings. But tonight, Zach Wheeler versus Dylan Cease. But does it really matter, Joe? Because the Atlanta Braves, they do, every time I look at the standings, the Braves are 8 of their last 10 games that they've won. You can't make up any ground with them. We'll be back to Hot Topics on the way right here on the SportsGrid Network.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Terrible start last year, injured all the way through, didn't have a chance to win that Major League Baseball season. This year, first team to 20 wins, first team to 30 wins, first team to 40 wins. It's all been the Atlanta Braves. Good baseball club lurking around here.
They still have some guys, some starting pitchers on the shelf there that could help them down the road, but the Braves are sitting pretty right now.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
For Abdul Carter. Hey, son, you want to be a leader? Show up to meetings on time. Don't be late to practice. This guy's sitting there trying to tell me that he's got a problem with Jackson Dart going to a Trump rally when he can't even show up to a meeting on time and he can't show up to practice and he's late? Dude.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
Well, the talk has been about sports betting handle being down or flat, right, because of the threat of prediction markets and the growth of them. But we've seen Kalshi actually kind of plateau for the first time in recent memory. Looking at a graphic right now, we've had the spike for the Super Bowl, and then this is usually when things die down. Yes, there's March Madness, but usually sports betting handle kind of goes down over the course of the spring and summer until we get back to football season.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Sometimes I get upset with Major League Baseball because you want to accentuate the positives here. And sometimes they do things, I think, on purpose. And what are we talking about, Joe? Focusing on a Monday on the NBA Finals game number 3, presidents in the building, monster stuff, the city is on fire, a lot of craziness. I couldn't get enough, Joe. Like, I'm tuning in an hour and a half before an NBA game just to watch the theatrics and watch the pregame shows and watch everybody get in the building and the national anthem. It was fantastic stuff. But Major League Baseball had an interesting one yesterday. Joe, did you know that the Athletics actually played a Major League Baseball game in Las Vegas yesterday? Because I didn't know until I actually saw the final score and some of the headlines, which it felt like baseball was like, oh, we don't want to embarrass Sacramento. We don't really want to promote Vegas yet. And it didn't make sense. But if you saw that final score and what happened, Underdog MLB, check out this tweet, Joe. Brewers beat the A's in the first Major League Baseball game in Vegas since 96. 12 innings, 29 runs. Oh, Joe. 11 home runs, 34 hits, highest scoring game in Major League Baseball this season. First, I'll start. Did you know this was happening? I actually didn't.
I did. It was actually one of my best bets yesterday.
Good.
Because here's what I found out, Donnie. Not only did I find out it was in Vegas, I then went to the weather report to find out exactly what we were anticipating there.
Hey.
An 18-mile-per-hour wind gust blowing dead out to center field not an indoor stadium in Vegas. No. In a AAA ballpark in Vegas that basically if you hit a pop-up, it is likely going out over the center field wall. And that is exactly what happened, Donnie. I was laughing. I thought they might still be playing, quite honestly, here this morning when we did the show, because that game felt like it was never going to end last night.
And honestly, like, you scored 29 runs, Joe. 5 of 14 with runners in scoring position for one team. 5 and 18, which was, I think, the Brewers, which, you know how many guys were on base there? How about this, Joe? Left on base. They scored 29 runs. They left 21 batters on base, so there could have been more. Now, understand what this means to the future, because it is going to be dumbed down. Kyle Harrison came to that game on fire for Milwaukee. You know what he finished at, Joe? 2 1/3 innings pitched, 8 hits, 8 earned runs, 3 home runs. Incredible. Now, it's higher elevation there, but as Joe pointed out, the wind was blowing out, check. Heat and humidity, absolutely check. The ball's flying there. Oh, no. Is this what's going to happen once the A's actually go to Vegas? No, it's not. They're going to be in an air-controlled dome that's barely ever going to be open except for maybe one early game in the month of April. So that's going to change things. But I love the fact where you get to a better ballpark for hitters here. That's fantastic. But, Joe, I didn't know what was going on. You did. 29 total runs, maybe more of that once they move. But we did have some comebacks for the ages last night. Now, for me, I was hoping it was for 5 runs. But Trey Mancini, he gets 3 base knocks in his first game to start back in Major League Baseball since 2023 after beating cancer. How about that, Joe, for the former Oriole?
Great story there. By the way, there will be 5 more games at this ballpark, by the way, in Vegas. So
let's go.
And today, it closed 10.5, 11 last night, Donnie. It's already 12.5 this morning. So that tells you everything you need to do. This might go down as one of the best stories, though, because we're so morally outraged about stupid things here. And we're missing maybe one of the best stories of the year here with Mancini coming back last night and doing what he's done his entire career, which was hit the ball. I mean, just unbelievable story there. I hope it gets more traction here over the next coming days, Donnie.
Yeah, pretty cool story coming out of there. We always love redemption stories, even if it's with a terrible ball club with the Los Angeles Angels. That is a good story here in 2026. You know what isn't good stories? Guys getting injured here. Craig Counsell talking about one of his big guns going down in Jamison Tyone.
It's a left hamstring strain. Imaging tomorrow. It's an IL. So we'll get more information tomorrow on severity and maybe an idea of a timeline.
Hammies, Joe, never want to see him in Major League Baseball, particularly pitchers, which means you can't ramp up. You will be down for quite some time. Tyone down for the count right now for the Cubbies.
Now, which means you'll give up less home runs as a pitching staff. So I fail to see what the problem is here there, Craig Counsell. By the way, he left the game in the first inning, and it was you lost it in extra inning. So it had nothing to do with Tyron going to the IL, that's for sure.
Other news out there, underdog MLB, Chris Bassett placed on the 15-day IL. Trey Gibson recalled from AAA to start for the Orioles on Monday. And J.P. Crawford goes to the IL with a hand injury for the M's out here. People getting injured, man, just the way it goes down at this point in Major League Baseball. Survive in advance, as they like to say, or just survive until you get to the All-Star break. Get some time off there. We'll be back after this short break for more Early Line Net.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Terrible start last year, injured all the way through, didn't have a chance to win that Major League Baseball season. This year, first team to 20 wins, first team to 30 wins, first team to 40 wins. It's all in the Atlanta Braves. Good baseball club lurking around here.
They still have some guys, some starting pitchers on the shelf there that could help them down the road, but the Braves are sitting pretty right now.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
For Abdul Carter. Hey, son, you want to be a leader? Show up to meetings on time. Don't be late to practice. This guy's sitting there trying to tell me that he's got a problem with Jackson Dart going to a Trump rally when he can't even show up to a meeting on time and he can't show up to practice and he's late? Dude.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
Well, the talk has been about sports betting handle being down or flat, right, because of the threat of prediction markets and the growth of them. But we've seen Kalshi actually kind of plateau for the first time in recent memory. Looking at a graphic right now, we've had the spike for the Super Bowl, and then this is usually when things die down. Yes, there's March Madness, but usually sports betting handle kind of goes down over the course of the spring and summer until we get back to football season.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Oh, the building was hot last night, Joe. The place to be, Madison Square Garden. If you got in line early, you got in to see that game. If you had thousands of dollars in your pocket, you could have some fun. And for a while, it was going well. But we'll get to the game in just a second. But if we are talking about big money, whenever you go deeper into the playoffs, Joe, the more money your organization makes, not only in ticket sales, local revenue, game jerseys, and all that good stuff. How about this from Yahoo Sports? The Knicks playoff run is projected to generate at least $145 million in revenue per front office sports. Analyst David Joyce says ticket sales are by far the biggest revenue driver for this postseason. You want revenue? You got it at the Garden, Joe.
Listen, not just for the Knicks, Donnie, because the amount of money that has been an influx of money into the city of New York right now during this run is over the top. They are not going to make the same revenue, and I'm talking about the mom and pops and the guys, the vendors on the corner. They are making money hand over fist. The World Cup will not bring this kind of revenue. The New York Knicks in the finals will bring that kind of revenue.
By the way, all those thousands of dollars, let me understand this too, Joe. We've all been here before, and I don't want to say even growing up. Let's go back to the early 2000s, late 1990s. The Philadelphia Eagles would make a playoff appearance. You could go and sit outside and wait outside the ticket office at Veterans Stadium. I don't know, line up the night before, get your tickets in person. That was like the fairest way you could get it. Sometimes they let you call through Ticketmaster on the phone. It was busy. You kept trying through. At least it was a fair option. Now you have these queues that you wait in where you can never get tickets. Well, I was the Chase card. I think they were releasing like 500 tickets in the Garden here. And hey, I'm in the back of the queue. I'm number 555,000 here. How is it possible, Joe, where they went to the mayor of New York City and was like, how'd you get your tickets? Yeah, I bought them through Madison Square Garden. I paid $1,000. People were hot. Like, how'd you get tickets for face value? And how did you get through? Come on, man. Do you expect the mayor not to be able to get through? It's okay to say the Knicks gave me tickets, probably comped them for me. I love the fact, Joe, he goes, I got them for $1,000. How, Joe? How did he do that?
Yeah, well, because you got to, it's like anything else, Donnie. You got to know somebody, right? Again, the moral outrage and the shock that this goes on is just, it's laughable. Like, what? You don't think this happens in every city, in every market, in every important game? Of course. There's always going to be people who have access and people who don't. And if you don't, you tend to be a little bit more outraged, which is laughable.
Angry at AI. Why is that, Joe? ABC's NBA Finals coverage will no longer include moving portraits made with AI tools, sources tell Front Office Sports. AI was used to develop several graphics for game number 1, which included Tony Parker, Bill Russell, and Kobe Bryant. Nobody wants AI, Joe. Come on now. Let the people do it themselves.
Donnie, I saw that live, and I was like, what is that
jacket
guy
real?
Tony Parker is wearing? I'm like, that's not him. Like, what? What are we doing? P.S. They ran a commercial last night, but they didn't use motion. It was still graphics. They had a Hakeem throwback, and it was like, what are we doing here? Unbelievable.
Yeah, we'll sniff that out right away. Like, I don't know if I saw that or that doesn't look right there. Joe, what is wrong with just putting a real picture of Tony Parker winning a championship with the Spurs? Like, how far have we come where you just go, Kobe Bryant, we don't have any real pictures. What? Just use the real pictures. Yeah. We get it. They're great moments in NBA history. Nobody remembers Kobe Bryant not sitting in the shower with that Lakers championship jacket on, hugging the trophy here. Just a real picture. Just let it play out that way. But last night, the real picture was in Madison Square Garden. It was Wemby. 32 points, 8 boards, 6 assists, throwing punches at Jalen Brunson. The bigger, badder team won last night, Joe. It was the Spurs.
Well, it was interesting, to say the least here, because, listen, the Spurs came out and done what they have done all series long, Donnie. They came out and punched first. First quarters have not been kind to the New York Knicks. You know what has been kind to the New York Knicks is the second quarter, and it was to the tune of, 42 points the Knicks got in the second quarter, 7-point lead at the break. And then here came the Spurs. But the bottom line is, Mike Brown spent 10 minutes up at the podium after the game talking about, 24 free throws to 8 in the second half when everybody was hacking. Seemed a little unfair.
By the way, I was watching the early parts of the game with my daughter. She's like, why do they miss so many shots? I thought they're pros and they're so good. I said, number one, it's the NBA Finals, letting them play. Number two, you see that 7'5" guy out there? Good luck shooting over him. And by the way, there were 2 magnificent plays by the New York Knicks in that game. Alvarado did that little pop shot over him. And the Jalen Brunson, I want to say maybe first quarter, where he basically hit the scoreboard and had that thing teardrop in over Wemby. I don't know how you score against the guy. And look at this. Through 3 games, New York is shooting 9 for 41 when contested by Wemby in the NBA Finals. Look, he is a cheat code, Joe, and only getting better.
Yeah, well, I mean, he is. There's a clear advantage defensively, and the numbers show it with him on the court versus him off the court. Now, to the Knicks' credit, they have done an amazing job of taking advantage of those minutes he is not on the court, Donnie, because then they basically dominate San Antonio in the paint. They'll get whatever they want in the paint here, but it's when he's on the court, things start to go a little haywire. But it doesn't change the fact that, hey, listen, if you are going to sit there in an NBA Finals game and allow both teams to just be that physical and send it back to the 90s where the first one at 85 would win a game, that's fine, but you can't have that kind of disparity in the second half. I'm with Mike Brown there.
Look, I don't like the New York Knicks. I don't like the New York Knicks fans, but I loved it last night. Like, if you want to just encapsulate everything into one game, you got it last night. Phenomenal game, rough game. They let them play. The crowd was fantastic. Outside was fantastic. President was in the building. Like them, hate them. It just adds to the intrigue, and I can't wait for tomorrow night's game, and certainly we'll keep you on top of that. But from yesterday, how about Wemby embracing being the villain in Gotham?
We got Knicks fans very riled up throughout the game. At one point, there was a colorful chant directed towards you. It seems as though you may be New York's newest villain. Is that kind of the ultimate compliment?
I guess I'm nowhere near Trae Young level, though.
By the way, did you see Wemby yesterday, too? Getting ready for the game, a little relaxation out in the park, doing a little sketches and stuff. Look, some of these international guys, they just move different, man. They're getting out and about in the city, getting the cultural vibe, and also now one of the more hated guys in the city that they took game number 3, Joe.
Yeah, well, it's only going to get worse from there.
Yeah.
It's all it's going to be. It's going to get worse from there, from here on out. But listen, you know, I love the fact that we've got a series now, because had the Knicks actually won that game last night, Donnie, it was all but over here. But the question is, okay, can you repeat that? And will the refs repeat that? That's going to be the big one in Game 4.
Joe, just as you bring up these refs, guess what? You try to set up the next game. That's what Mike Brown was doing last night. Let's hear from him.
First of all, I want to make sure I get something clear. Coach Mitch Johnson and the Spurs, they won the game tonight. They came and took the game. But I will say this: I never thought I'd be in the NBA Finals and see a team get 24 free throw attempts in the second half to another team's 8. And I don't think I complain much about officials or the fairness when it comes to the free throw attempts. San Antonio.
Sounds like he's upset there last night, Joe, and maybe he has a right, maybe not to. But one thing you do is you set the hook for the next game, and that's what he's doing right now.
Yeah, but you don't preface it. Like, don't preface it by telling me how great San Antonio was. I know they won the game. Just come out and say it. You got to be kidding me in the second half here. You know, Wemby almost took Brunson's head off in the first half, and there's no... Say it. We all saw it. Say it.
Get Trump back in the Garden, Game 4. Let's get the hype back in the arena. Ben Stiller, Timothy Chalamet, and the boys. We'll be right back.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Terrible start last year, injured all the way through, didn't have a chance to win that Major League Baseball season. This year, first team to 20 wins, first team to 30 wins, first team to 40 wins. It's all been the Atlanta Braves. Good baseball club lurking around here.
They still have some guys, some starting pitchers on the shelf there that could help them down the road, but the Braves are sitting pretty right now.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
For Abdul Carter. Hey, son, you want to be a leader? Show up to meetings on time. Don't be late to practice. This guy's sitting there trying to tell me that he's got a problem with Jackson Dart going to a Trump rally when he can't even show up to a meeting on time? And he can't show up to practice and he's late? Dude.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
Well, the talk has been about sports betting handle being down or flat, right, because of the threat of prediction markets and the growth of them. But we've seen Kalshi actually kind of plateau for the first time in recent memory. Looking at a graphic right now, we've had the spike for the Super Bowl, and then this is usually when things die down. Yes, there's March Madness, but usually sports betting handle kind of goes down over the course of the spring and summer until we get back to football season.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Oh, did you hear these hot stories? Everything's a hot story, it feels like today on a Tuesday. Fantastic stuff last night in the NBA. Tonight, NHL action. Another game out there in Vegas after a crazy game in Major League Baseball in Las Vegas. Maybe a little window into the future. But, Joe, the window into the future of NCAA football and what you can get away with is wide open. You ever see a house under renovation, Joe? It's like, man, they got the whole front, looks like, off of that house here, trying to fix those windows and front doors here. That's what's taking place. Yahoo Sports will start here, Joe. The NCAA addresses the ruling that made Texas Tech quarterback Brendan Sorsby eligible for the 2026 season. Quote, the NCAA strongly disagrees with the court's ruling in Sorsby's case and is deeply concerned about the damaging, far-reaching, and broadly destabilizing ramifications of this outcome, which undermines and corrupts the integrity of sports. They are right. So take control of this sport. Individual judges in individual states and counties that root for and cheer and sit on boards and are alumni of these universities. How can they make rulings to keep people active just because they want to? That's the issue here, Joe.
Well, and they allowed him to get there. But this is the crazy part, Donnie, is this is exactly what the NCAA wants. We're all being played here. They want an antitrust exemption. They want to keep throwing their hands up in the air and saying, nothing we can do. It's the court. See, Congress, this is, if you go ahead and give us the antitrust exemption and we can make, 17 trillion more dollars here, then maybe we can do something. But until that point, give me a break. This is exactly what the NCAA wants. And now they're going to run to Congress and say, hey, yeah, told you, nothing we can do. You could have prevented all of this to begin with. It was your greed that put us into this spot, and now you're holding everyone else responsible except yourself. What did you think was going to happen in a Lubbock County courtroom, Donnie? What exactly were we thinking was going to happen? The judge was going to rule against them?
And by the way, Sorsby is making a lot of money on NIL. So let me bring up this next tweet by Ari Miroff and ask you a question on this. The judge's reasoning here, ready? Quote, this court finds that Sorsby will suffer a probable, imminent, and irreparable injury without the injunction because he, quote, will be unable to participate as a member of the Texas Tech 2026 football team. So if I'm actually a legitimate judge, I go, you know what? We're going to end this right now. Texas Tech, you can't boot him out. His NIL is going to be active. He just can't play football on game days here, but you owe him all that money. You know what Texas Tech does? They throw him out of the university and take him to court over his NIL. So what this judge is basically ruling on is he's going to get irreparable harm and injury. Not on the football field. The injury, Joe, is coming to his wallet. And a lot of judges are always going to side with, let's just say, union and or being able to earn money in the future and not harm him. So if I'm the judge, I go, yeah, he can't play, but you still owe him that money. We'll see how quickly these organizations and also these NCAA institutions start doing an about face at this point and the people that are paying him. But as long as you have this, well, he bet against his own team, but that's going to cost him a lot of money if he can't play. Go ahead and let him play. No. Don't let him play, but still pay him the money. This went pretty fast.
Again, this is not surprising. We just saw this, Donnie, in college basketball with Alabama, right? Did we not? Charles Bediako, 26 years old, already played professionally, came back, Alabama, Nate Oates signed him, and the whole world is up in arms. Oh, my God. Anybody talking about that anymore? No, nobody. The problem is don't hate Nate Oates in Alabama. Don't hate Bediako. Don't hate Sorsby in Texas Tech.
Hate
they
LSU.
are playing by the rules. Exactly correct. You can hate them all you want. You can be morally outraged all you want. They are doing exactly and playing the game that was set up way before he got to Texas Tech.
Now, also, Joe, let's flip it over to another tweet here from Ross Dellinger, because this is where it gets sanctimonious and two-faced here. Let's read this one. Big 12's ADs tell Yahoo Sports that they've had serious talks on not playing Texas Tech. One SEC AD, which again is out of conference, there should be conversations about not playing them in any sports. Understand this. You see the quote at the bottom. It's total blank, right? All right, I get it here. But let's make one thing serious about this, as opposed to being what they're talking about. Every team in the Big 12 is upset because they're not able to get over what Texas Tech just got over. They're upset already with Texas Tech because their boosters are bringing that oil money to the table and nobody can match it here. Because you know what I guarantee, Joe? Texas Tech, how about Oklahoma State or maybe somebody else in that conference is able to do that? They wouldn't be mad. Texas Tech right now is bending and breaking the rules and getting away with it. And also, if you're the Big 12, you're not going to play one of your counterparts here, so you're therefore going to forfeit games and lose money to television rights. That's not happening either. So for the ADs to be upset, they're just mad they didn't think of it first.
And it's so hypocritical, Donnie, because every one of those ADs and every one of those universities screaming, "Oh, we got to ban them." You have broke every rule over the. Oh, I promise you, if we go back through the records, you broke every rule known to mankind at one point or the other to make sure your football team or whatever basketball team had exactly a player they likely shouldn't have. It is no different. Only Texas Tech didn't break any rules here, Donnie. What rule did Texas Tech break?
Yeah. That joke, they don't like the upstart. And let's go back to the SEC. This is probably, a good 15, maybe even 20 years ago. I don't know. Hugh Freeze, remember he went to Ole Miss? Ole Miss was a down program. And Joe, out of nowhere, they were the #1 recruiting team in the SEC. The SEC wasn't going to put up with the newcomer on the street. They quickly found the bottom of it, paying athletes, bury them right away. And that's what's happening here. We don't like that Texas Tech is rising up. Let's try to bury them. You're just mad you didn't get there first at this point here, Joe. These wild stories come out, and we just talked about one with Sorsby. It was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to bet on games, and I'm still going to play and make my NIL, which is crazy. How about Broncos linebacker Jonathan Cooper? You hear this story, Joe? Admits to law enforcement that he restrained his girlfriend's arms, then tried to eat her iPhone. Joe, have you ever attempted to eat your own iPhone when you got upset with something?
How?
No,
Donnie. I've been hungry, staring at my iPhone at time, but I have never looked at the ketchup and condiments and been like, you know what would be really good? I'd take a bite of this iPhone right. No, never happened.
Now, Joe, he swallows the iPhone whole. Like you could, like the police, like call that phone and find them. Or also, like if it is an iPhone, doesn't have the tag on it where it's like, hey, that phone is gone. It looks like it's in your pocket, but it's not. Did you eat the iPhone? I ate the iPhone, so there's no evidence here.
The germiest thing you own, too. Oh,
unbelievable. What's going on?
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Terrible start last year, injured all the way through, didn't have a chance to win that Major League Baseball season. This year, first team to 20 wins, first team to 30 wins, first team to 40 wins. It's all in the Atlanta Braves. Good baseball club lurking around here.
They still have some guys, some starting pitchers on the shelf there that could help them down the road, but the Braves are sitting pretty right now.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
For Abdul Carter. Hey, son, you want to be a leader? Show up to meetings on time. Don't be late to practice. This guy's sitting there trying to tell me that he's got a problem with Jackson Dart going to a Trump rally when he can't even show up to a meeting on time? And he can't show up to practice and he's late? Dude.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
Well, the talk has been about sports betting handle being down or flat, right, because of the threat of prediction markets and the growth of them. But we've seen Kalshi actually kind of plateau for the first time in recent memory. Looking at a graphic right now, we've had the spike for the Super Bowl, and then this is usually when things die down. Yes, there's March Madness, but usually sports betting handle kind of goes down over the course of the spring and summer until we get back to football season.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
We all know the Stanley Cup's going to resume tonight in Las Vegas, and can the Vegas Golden Knights take a 3-1 series lead and almost get one more win to get to that Stanley Cup, or does Carolina fight back here and make that 2-2 before going back to Raleigh? But the one thing I always get a kick out of here, Joe, is when we talk about the head coaches in hockey, it's one of those sports where you can be one of the best coaches in the NHL and end up coaching 6, 7, 8, 9 teams, it feels like, because it's the one sport that's like, set up my system, I'll last 2 or 3 years, I'll burn out on these guys, and I'll be on my way. Peter Laviolette, I love him. Stanley Cup champion in Philadelphia, brought the Flyers to the Stanley Cup in 2010, but eventually he had to move on as well. But now, Laviolette finding himself out there in L.A., the next Kings coach. Great coaches. You only get a couple years in the NHL before they tune you out. He's on his way. Now he's in L.A.
Yeah, and well, that's good. I mean, problem is, once again, LA, you gotta have guys that can find the back of the net when it matters the most. So hopefully he'll be able to scheme up something going on out there. I do like the direction the Kings are going, but that West has got some teams, Donnie, that can absolutely win some Stanley Cups moving forward, and none of them happen to be in Canada, by the way.
None in Canada. Let's hear from Lavi. Let's see some of those old clips from Lavi here. Bring them up.
Yep.
1 for the opposition. Do you know why, Hartsey? Because it's about as casual as it gets. As casual as it gets. In Boston, we said, all right, got mixed in the schedule. Let's turn the page. Somebody tell me, what the is the difference now? What's the problem now? I want to see people rip their heart out of their chest this period. And if you don't, you're probably not going to like your ice time. Take your first shift. You'll get it. Earn the second one. I'm not putting up with it. It's too much horse. It's too much. Don't allow it. D-zone coverage, soft down low. Out to the points, casual strides. We don't want to block a shot because it hurts. One game, Boston. All right, let's move on. Tonight, unacceptable. Not going to happen. We're way better than what we just showed. Every guy in here knows it, and you should not accept it. Don't. You got 20 minutes. You win a period, you win a game, we move on. But you need to dig in right now, every guy. Enough is enough. Start playing with some jam in here. Let's go.
Yeah. Play with some jam in there, Joe. That's the reason, I love Laviolette in Philadelphia. We love that guy. But eventually, the locker room, we saw some of the faces like, this guy's yelling at me again. Eventually, it doesn't get through to these guys, Joe.
No, it doesn't. And that's a different kind of generation of coach, right, Donnie? He's a guy that, if you got the right players, you're going to love them. You're going to love him, you're going to hate him, but he is going to motivate you to run through brick walls. But that could also go terribly sideways there, Donnie, without the right team.
I mean, take a look at the Stanley Cup final right now, man. Torts lasting any more than 6 months when a team is crazy. He's just in his hot zone right now. They'll win the Stanley Cup, and by next November, please get this guy out of here. We need a new head coach. Talking about new head coaches here. How about source here? The Edmonton Oilers are consulting with the NHLPA to see if there are objections that must be resolved before potentially hiring Mike Babcock amid allegations of invading players' privacy here as the head coach of the Columbus Blue Jackets here. Babcock also one of those guys, old school, a lot of winning. Now it looks like they're asking for the okay to be like, hey, any more investigations coming along before we hire this guy?
Yeah, well, likely, Donnie, who are we kidding?
Yeah.
Likely going to be a few more investigations. But again, in a couple of weeks, all of that will just kind of be that Friday news dump, and we'll know none of it until next season.
Joe, how about this? You heard this before, right? Hey, I play in Detroit. I want out. Well, I'm going to pick wherever I want to go because I got a no-trade clause. One of those 3 teams is in Florida. The other one is in Vegas. The other one is cold weather. Florida always appears. Why? What hockey player would not want to play in Florida, make more money with half of their guaranteed home games are in 75 or 80 degrees? Florida, can the rich get richer, Joe, and bounce back with Dylan Larkin?
Yes, they can. Because no matter what, Donnie, he's always going to make more money in Florida. Because they don't have any state tax, income tax. So I promise you that, comparing apples to apples, he's going to make more money in Florida than he will in any other city. That's for sure.
The GM just bending rules down there, obviously, because any big player that they want, they seem to get. And any big player that goes there goes, I'll take less just to stay here. Again, you're in February. You're not in Winnipeg. You're waking up there, Joe, taking a stroll down in Miami-Dade. Be like, this is heaven at this point. I put on shorts and a T-shirt and roll out to practice, not have to get a triple fat goose and hide my face at this point because it's freezing in Winnipeg at this time of year. Hour number 2 is coming up next. Keep the heat on, people. We're rolling.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Terrible start last year, injured all the way through, didn't have a chance to win that Major League Baseball season. This year, first team to 20 wins, first team to 30 wins, first team to 40 wins. It's all in the Atlanta Braves. Good baseball club lurking around here.
They still have some guys, some starting pitchers on the shelf there that could help them down the road, but the Braves are sitting pretty right now.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
For Abdul Carter. Hey, son, you want to be a leader? Show up to meetings on time. Don't be late to practice. This guy's sitting there trying to tell me that he's got a problem with Jackson Dart going to a Trump rally when he can't even show up to a meeting on time? And he can't show up to practice and he's late? Dude.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
Well, the talk has been about sports betting handle being down or flat, right, because of the threat of prediction markets and the growth of them. But we've seen Kalshi actually kind of plateau for the first time in recent memory. Looking at a graphic right now, we've had the spike for the Super Bowl, and then this is usually when things die down. Yes, there's March Madness, but usually sports betting handle kind of goes down over the course of the spring and summer until we get back to football season.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Did you love hour number 1? I did. Joe did. You did. We all did, which means hour number 2, we bring the heat even more here, Joe. Hot topics, we got you covered here. Last night in the Garden, Trump was in the building, exciting game, and now we have a series because we don't want this to end in 4 games or 5. Give me 6, give me 7, give me the drama tonight out in Vegas. Did you watch the 3 games there in the Stanley Cup Finals so far? They've been absolutely sensational here. This week, the World Cup does start also. And still talking about Major League Baseball and action and hot topics, and away we go. And look at that, by the way. Minus 110 split both sides here tonight out there in Vegas. Come on now. Can we get a game 7 in both of these? And by the way, I do love this. Even though Sunday night, Joe, we could have had a nice little Stanley Cup game, nice NBA game on Sunday would have been nice. But the fact that we're rolling 2 series that could go long distance every other night and you get something to taste, I love it, Joe. And hour number 2, the heat is on. We're bringing it to the people.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I said it yesterday, Donnie. I want 7 games in this NHL Stanley Cup Finals because there might not be anything more entertaining that we will see in a very long time. This series has been absolutely crazy, and I think it's going to continue to be so. But I think San Antonio winning last night certainly gave those that might say, the whole league is fixed. It's all scripted. Well, they added fuel to that fire, which just means, Donnie, give us 7 games in the NBA as well. I'm all for it.
Yeah, me too. I'm all for it. You know what else we're all for here? Shinnecock Hills and the U.S. Open, Joe. In the 1990s, when I started to get into golf, I loved it. Corey Pavin won the U.S. Open. I think it was the U.S. Open championship there, knocking off Phil Mickelson, still looking at that time for his first major. But let's hear Rory talking about Shinnecock.
It's an amazing golf course because the playing corridors are wide fairways. The greens are pretty small. They can tuck the pins away in different little nooks and crannies. And Andy will love me saying this, but you do have to think about angles, and you have to think about approaching these greens from, I think about the 8th hole. It's a really short par 4, but if you have the pin on the right side of the green and you hit it up the right side of the fairway, not a nice wedge shot. But if you put it up the left side, you're hitting straight up the green, and it becomes, not just becomes easier from just like a landing spot standpoint, but just visually, you're hitting straight up the green. So there's a lot of little things like that at Shinnecock that that you have to think about.
Link style golf there out on Long Island, Joe. Love to see it here. One of my favorite courses, U.S. Open. They're going to be ready there. What do they got to do, Joe? Get out the hoses, they'll water down the greens. It's not fair. The pros are getting embarrassed here. Slow it down.
Yeah, no, Donnie, what the pros need to do is they need to get themselves on a linoleum or marble flooring and practice putting that way, because that's the only way you're ever going to be able to shoot under par at Shinnecock. It is the worst round of my life and the best experience I ever had. I played one round there, Donnie. It's the only time in my life where I almost ran out of golf balls and had to borrow somebody else's, because they won't let you go look for it when you shank it hard left or hard right. Yeah, no. You got 2 hours to play, so you better go out there and have fun, but not an easy golf course.
Yep, stroking distance, man. You ain't hitting that ball going down the fairway, can't find it, going back to the tee. Just drop it where it plays, keep it going. And also, Joe is right about this. Find yourself a bad contractor, build yourself a floor that's uneven, and try to putt on the linoleum, because that's what it looks like here. The crowd, I'm telling you, I love it. I hope it's all tricked out, because seeing pros struggle in golf courses, it's part of the fun of the U.S. Open, and maybe that happens again this year, Joe. Other hot topics here, which includes the early lineup. Yeah, Brandon Sorsby, he's playing. He's going to make a lot of money. You know what, Joe? They can't stop him now. Who's to say that he just doesn't line up in game number 3 after his 2-game suspension and put $1 million on the first half over, and he tries to cover that? Because all hands off now. You could do whatever you want with this judge's ruling.
Well, the NCAA has appealed it, but again, they've appealed it to a appeals court in Amarillo, which happens to have 4 judges that graduated from Texas Tech Law School. So good luck. Let's see how that appeal works out for the NCAA.
And how about this? Georgia Athletics. Nobody should play Texas Tech. This is unfair. We like to give our guys Dodge Chargers. Now you're up in the game. Nobody should play Texas Tech.
It's so funny, Donnie. Texas Tech has committed absolutely nothing egregious. They haven't broken any rules, laws, nothing in doing this. And Georgia, of all teams, somehow thinks they have the moral high ground here. It's hilarious.
I mean, what's next? LSU tells them to stop doing this. It's ridiculous. We're not going to play in sports. Come on now. This is this right now is the wild, wild west, and nobody's stopping any of this here. And by the way, remember in the past, like, oh, it was unfair. We couldn't make money. Just if you played even 3 or 4 years ago, just sue the NCAA and tell them I wasn't allowed to bet on my own games. I could have made a lot of money. You'll probably win that lawsuit and be able to cash in even more tickets at this point. Joe, cashing in tickets last night. If you had a money line wager or took the points with the Spurs, cha-ching, you cashed in. Why? They won 115-111, 2-1 series. And as they like to say, game on now, Joe.
Yeah, we told you to take the team total over 107.5 there for the Spurs, and they got that done for us, although it was a little bit of a sweat in the second half. All the scoring was really done in the first half, but we got ourselves a series now, Donnie, so can't wait for game 4 to see what kind of electricity is going to be in that Madison Square Garden.
How about Josh Hart, who apparently his name is now Jason Hart for some reason? Let's hear from Jason Hart in the postgame.
Either one of you two, just in the fourth quarter down the stretch, what did you make out of it? Did you just shots that you took didn't fall, or was there anything other team is doing that made it difficult for you guys to really get on the run to come back?
I mean, there's a couple shots that didn't fall that we had good looks on. I feel like we didn't get enough stops during the game. We get stops, we play our brand of basketball, and you're not worried about makes and misses. So, like I said, we got to learn from it, watch it on tomorrow. At the end of the day, whether we won or lost, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to watch it on tomorrow, get better, and prepare for the game on Thursday. So, same mentality.
Lot of hype, lot of excitement last night. Trump was in the building. USA chants, boos. You got everything you wanted from the energy of Madison Square Garden and New York City last night, which included, once again, the 115-111 final. Is Trump going to be back in the building, Joe? Any other games going to go down to San Antonio? Does he like it? Or, you know what? Not enough. Got to get back to the White House.
Yeah, I think you got. Well, listen, he's got a pretty big UFC event coming up at his home there in the White House. So I'm sure he's got other places to go. But hey, listen, 21 points you gave San Antonio off for stupid turnovers there, Knicks. You might want to clean that up today.
Go New York, go. By the way, Cardi B was out there at the half as well. Stars were all out in full force last night. It was a who's who in that building. But you know who else is a who's who? Brandon Ayuk. I don't know what he's doing with his videos. I don't know how many hundreds of millions of dollars in contracts he's burned through. He doesn't seem right in the head right now. He just doesn't.
Yeah, no, this very, Antonio Brown-esque with some of the things that that come out of him here, Donnie. Is it a cry for help? Does he? Yep. I don't. I'm telling you, the advice he's gotten, Donnie, over the last couple of years has not been good.
No. I mean, the guy had a guaranteed contract blew his knee out. That's why you get the guaranteed money. And somehow just that went up in smoke and agreed to let them not pay him. I don't know who's advising him, but it isn't working. Caitlin Clark, 19 points, Joe. One shy of that 20-point mark, but a late triple. Game winner. They'd take down the Mystics.
From section 305, Donnie. I mean, the late she called game from section 208 is what she did, but that is what we expect from Caitlin Clark.
By the way, who's the guy that does the Angel Reese videos that just screams, bang, all the time? That's quality videos right there. How about Miles Russell, Joe? Teenager qualifying for the U.S. Open. Be lucky to go to a chip and putt par 3 and try to shoot some scores, let alone qualifying for the Open. My goodness.
I'm just trying to make sure I got enough balls in my bag, Donnie. And this kid's out here making sure that he's going to play for the U.S. Open. You got to love it.
Charlie's on the bag as well. Why not Charlie? Why not just get his dad to hold the bag for you there? That'll create some waves of Tigers on the bag. And away we go. Kevin Walsh, host of In Game Line, joins us next. Don't go anywhere. Come on, stay with us.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Terrible start last year, injured all the way through, didn't have a chance to win that Major League Baseball season. This year, first team to 20 wins, first team to 30 wins, first team to 40 wins. It's all in the Atlanta Braves. Good baseball club lurking around here.
They still have some guys, some starting pitchers on the shelf there that could help them down the road, but the Braves are sitting pretty right now.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
For Abdul Carter. Hey, son, you want to be a leader? Show up to meetings on time. Don't be late to practice. This guy's sitting there trying to tell me that he's got a problem with Jackson Dart going to a Trump rally when he can't even show up to a meeting on time? And he can't show up to practice and he's late? Dude.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
Well, the talk has been about sports betting handle being down or flat, right, because of the threat of prediction markets and the growth of them. But we've seen Kalshi actually kind of plateau for the first time in recent memory. Looking at a graphic right now, we've had the spike for the Super Bowl, and then this is usually when things die down. Yes, there's March Madness, but usually sports betting handle kind of goes down over the course of the spring and summer until we get back to football season.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Oh, a lot of good stuff to talk about today on a Tuesday. Big doings this week. World Cup on its way. That starts Thursday. Last night, Madison Square Garden, NBA Finals. Tonight, the NHL Stanley Cup Finals back into play. Sport DRS Joe Ranieri, and now we welcome in host of In Game Live. It's the one, the only. It's Kevin Walsh. How about it?
How we doing? How we feeling? Ready to roll here. Finals back on. We have a series.
Now, Kev, before we get to the series itself, have some fun with that game last night. Explain yourself on In Game Live and the World Cup coming up. What are the expectations and what are we looking forward to here? Come on now.
So we are going to be ramping up the In Game Live coverage with two editions of In Game Live. We will have a midday In Game Live and a nighttime In Game Live. So we will be with you with the World Cup kickoff for Mexico, South Africa at 3 p.m. There will be some nights where we don't start at 8 o'clock, like Friday night where the USA game kicks off at 9 p.m. So we will go live at 9 p.m. here to give you the additional in-game live coverage for the World Cup.
Love it, Joe. What do you got?
I want to hear what you thought of the officiating last night. In the second. I'm not making excuses. I could sit here for 10 minutes like Mike Brown did, throwing accolades at San Antonio and how they won the game. But you got to be kidding me here, right? I mean, was that even remotely close in the second half in the officiating?
I think I thought the officiating was worse in game two to what you're suggesting, Joe. I think the issue is there's a level of physicality being allowed that is randomly like, that's a foul. So Brunson, it's actually interesting because, we're accustomed to, it's always like big men who get fouled on every play, right? It's the old Shaq thing, right? So it's like Wemby. Brunson does get fouled a lot because of the way he plays. He doesn't play like a normal guard, and he's obviously not getting a ton of those calls. He did get 8 free throws, but it could have been more. The bonus helps there. I'll tell you the thing that really stood out to me, though, last night. When the Knicks get in the bonus, Mitchell Robinson is as valuable as I am to the team because he's not allowed to play in the game. Like, they keep trying to get Karl Anthony Towns rest, and then they go, oh, sorry, never mind, forgot we were in the bonus. And Cat can't get his normal rest patterns, and he's completely gassed in the fourth quarter. So, I mean, I know it's the finals, and it's like, but maybe, I don't know, Ariel Huckporty can go out there and give you 5 minutes if Mitchell Robinson isn't going to be able to do that.
By the way, also looking at this series, which now we can actually call it a series, because if you had the Knicks win last night, I don't think minus 49.5 would have been enough for the Knicks to cut. I think would have blown the doors off the Spurs. They understood the assignment. And what are we playing basketball for now? But Kevin, if we look at the championship odds now, we talked yesterday, minus 500 coming into this game as a favorite for the New York Knicks. Series prices now, the Knicks, minus 184, split with San Antonio, plus 154. Is there belief now that the Spurs can come back? Because obviously down 3-0, it's over at 2-1. I still do think the Knicks are the better, deeper team, but I was really encouraged with the Spurs. Like, we're expecting them to maybe get bullied in that arena by the crowd and also by the team. They fought hard. And also, Kevin, their MO. Let's get an early lead and, oh no, the Knicks are better. We just can't hang with them in the second half. They fought back down 7 at the break and won it outright.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing, Donnie, is because I know you were on the Spurs last night.
Yeah.
And I had, it was all Spurs bets. Everything was Spurs.
Yeah.
There are some people who are going to be on the Spurs, entered into it being like, man, Knicks probably have this. Spurs win. Like, wow. Maybe it's like, no, it's not the Spurs, right? That was a Spurs spot. We saw it. We took advantage of it. I am now looking at the Knicks game 4 number. Where'd the 2.5 go? Why are we back down to 1.5 here? The Knicks are at home. I do not think the Knicks are going to lose both games in Madison Square Garden. I would actually be really surprised by that. Yeah. So, again, I know we'll talk more about this tomorrow, but I like the Knicks a lot. And we'll likely see if this is the first time we don't get a game decided in the final 2 minutes and, see what kind of prices we're getting on -6.5, -10.5, -14.5. The Knicks at their best roll and blow teams out. It's on the board that's what game 4 looks like.
I had the Knicks in the first half simply because, Kev, the second quarter numbers for this San Antonio team are just laughably bad. I mean, you gave up 42 points in the second quarter to the Knicks, and a lot of that is where the hell has Jordan Clarkson been? Like, the bench of the Knicks, if there's one positive to take out, outside of Mitchell Robinson, should probably never be allowed on the court in a meaningful game. But, I mean, you tell me here, Kev, the bench of the – I don't see that changing in this series. Like, I think the Knicks are going to dominate the second quarter. Next game, the game after that, it's just the way it is right now.
Yeah, assuming Mike Brown hasn't lost confidence in key guys, I think the story a bit of game 4 will be the Landry Shamet, Deuce McBride, Clarkson, Alvarado group make 6-7 threes, right? Or maybe 8, right, Joe? Instead of going 3 for 13 like they just did in the last game. Like, yes, Clarkson went 2 for 2. Landry Shamet went 1 for 7. Alvarado and McBride 0 for 2 apiece. You know what would also help the Knicks? Because I'm going to end up being the most annoying man alive with this. If Jalen Brunson would play well, that'd be nice. If their alleged best player could maybe shoot the ball efficiently instead of just continuously seeing his Finals MVP price moving. He's right now topping out at 1 good quarter a game. And he is sitting as the Finals MVP favorite. Not following that one personally, fellas.
Go New York, go New York, go. Yeah.
Anunoby's got a much better case than Brunson. It's OG versus Cat right now.
Yep.
Yeah. You're going to get that information tonight. Much more on In-Game Live, fresh, brought to you live. There's a hockey game tonight, which means you know what's going to take place. Gabe, and more game tonight, and a little bit of Kevin. Mixed in. Catch you tonight right here on the SportsGrid Network.
Yes.
Terrible start last year, injured all the way through, didn't have a chance to win that Major League Baseball season. This year, first team to 20 wins, first team to 30 wins, first team to 40 wins. It's all in the Atlanta Braves. The baseball club lurking around here.
They still have some guys, some starting pitchers on the shelf there that could help them down the road, but the Braves are sitting pretty right now.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Christopher Sanchez is the right call right now. What am I missing? Why is Shohei Ohtani not right there with him? Well, is it the innings, Donnie? What is it? What am I missing here? Because if he qualifies for the pitching title and he throws a lot of innings and he leads the major leagues in earned run average and even whip, like, well, what am I missing?
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Hey there, it's your buddy Craig Carton. If you're trying to find out how to get all the great content that me and Tyrone Johnson give you every single day, here's Tyrone to tell you how.
You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and of course, Amazon Music as well. We're at all 4.
That's right. It's the Craig Carton Show podcast every weekday morning live at 11, replayed at noon on YouTube and on SportsGrid throughout the country. Check it out.
Fun, you got it. Early line information, absolutely, you get that as well. Kevin Walsh, catch him tonight, I should say, with Gabriel Morency, in-game live, getting you ready for the Stanley Cup game number 4 out there in Las Vegas. And then tomorrow, another NBA game. Cannot wait for that, Joe. But in this segment, give the people what they want with some best bets. We check in with Fading the Public, but also one last hot topic or more so that we like to share with the fans here. ESPN FC with a tweet, Joe. Christian Eriksen released a statement saying this situation was different from what happened in 2021. For now, his focus on recovering, spending time with his family, and also vacation, playing football with his children. By the way, let me ask you a question here, because I'm not reading in the story and not huge on. Is this the same guy that had the heart problem that went down? See, you know what? I didn't know that till I just read that, because I was going to bring it up. So I'm like, I remember we had one of those situations. Was it the same thing, by the way, that he had in this, where it's like, we got to check on it? I need a little more info.
I believe it's the pacemaker that was the issue in this one, Donnie.
Wow.
That kind of, but outside of that, it's the same guy that we all watched collapse back in 2021, and we all went, oh no, this didn't just happen. And same guy. So now the question is, does he's doing better, they're saying. So the question is, does he come back? That's going to be the interesting thing.
Relax, my guy. Just relax. Nothing scarier than that at that point, dealing with your heart issues here. Tough scene at this point. Let's reach out to the public, Joe. Let's find out what they're talking about today in our Fade the Public poll. You know it had to be about Brandon Scoresby, right? It had to be, because that's the hot topic here, which seems so ridiculous that even the most insane person should see it the right way. And how do you feel about Brandon Scoresby is the question we asked, Joe. How about 0% good for him? That's exactly the way it's supposed to be here. The leader in the clubhouse, this is BS. Exactly nailed by the public once again. Look at the 0%, Joe. That's what the deal is.
Yeah. And sorry, public, you're wrong. Do not fault a guy for playing by the rules that were set up by a corrupt organization known as the NCAA. He is better at this game than they are, and they created this disaster. And you know what? Not his fault that these were the rules you gave me. So I'm playing by them. You can't, don't hate the player, hate the game. And he just played it better than the NCAA.
Yes, he absolutely did here, Joe. But let's play a little bit better for today on a Tuesday. Look forward to hockey and WNBA and Major League Baseball. Here's our best bets, Joe. Bye on the way. Joe, come on now. It's a Tuesday. No NBA. Do we go hockey? Do we go WNBA? Do we go Major League Baseball? Where is it?
Well, Donnie, I'm going to go in this direction because I know you won't. I don't blame you because, oftentimes I don't want to bet on the Yankees, but I am betting on your Phillies tonight to get another one in the W column. Why? Well, it's Zach Wheeler versus Dylan Cease, a battle of number ones. And I think Wheeler will get it done in this spot here. I do not like the way Toronto is playing. I do like the way they are swinging the bat in Philadelphia, and call me crazy. And I believe even Doran managed not to give up a run, but managed to actually get his 16th save yesterday. Didn't have to work all that hard. Man, imagine going Christopher Sanchez and Wheeler back to back. The hitters of Toronto are not going to be happy. I'm taking your Phillies to get it done tonight.
Let's go, Fightins. Another series win on the dandy Don Mattingly. Could it be? Maybe. We'll find out tonight. We'll certainly be rooting for it here in the DRS household. But how about me, Joe? Last night, scraped a little bit. 4.5 team total plus money. Went up here in a 5-4 loss. But tonight, going to come back with a nice little analytical spot here, Joe. Detroit Tigers going to send Troy Melton out to the mound. And so what's he been doing this year so far? Limited innings, yes, but how about this, Joe? A 1.74 ERA, which is fantastic. You look at some of his numbers. Walks and hits the innings pitch here, which is the whip number, 0.87. Balls against, or BABIP numbers, I should say. How about a 175, which means the batting average of balls in play, this guy looks like he's really good. But how about the analytical numbers? You take a look at Sierra numbers, skill interactive ERA, Joe, which means you put what the pitcher does and also combine it with the fielding. You want that number, Joe? Some of the leaders, 2.83, 2.85, similar to a solid ERA. How about a 174 ERA for Troy Melton? His Sierra number, Joe, 5.2. 2.28. I'm going to take the Twins team total in an analytical fade tonight over 3.5 at a -130. You get that pitcher with the good ERA, but it looks like, Joe, he's sort of teetering right now with a chance to get rocked, and you don't need to rock him. You just got to get 4. Last night I did get 4. Tonight I hope I do get 4, and then we'll cash in some tickets. That's how we get it done. 2-0 on a Tuesday, moving it forward to Wednesday. You know what's up next? Prediction Markets Edge on the early line right here on the SportsGrid Network. We'll be back.